Hey, Praise family! Welcome to the live chat over here. I'm going to be checking in on some people. One person right now that's showing me their journal is Bailey Miller over there, our worship leader. She's journaling in the corner right over there, and she just really wanted to show me her journal. You doing okay, Bailey?
Yeah.
I think we're going to check in on Matt Smucker and the whole fam over there. So we're just waiting for Matt to get on, and I'm going to just check in on him. And hey, you know what? Request, and I'll check in on you. We're going to just see how in the heck are you? What's going on? What does quarantine at your house look like? For me, I just have been cleaning the Harriet house a little bit here, and I also went for a run and did a lot of squats, just trying to stay healthy. A couple of the girls here at the house were also doing some squats and box steps during some TV watching last night. So that's what's going on over here at the house. Just trying to stay clean, getting ready for spring term to start in a strange, modified way. But it's going to be great. And I'm really excited for everybody to get home, at least the girls that are coming home. So yeah, so that's what's going on. Let's check in with Matt. Where's he at? Not on yet. That's okay. If you have any questions for me, just pop on here and go ahead and ask, and I will look. Oh, there's Matt. He's coming in right now. I'm going to wave to you. Matt can request to join, and we are going to see what's going on here. Let's see. Waiting for Matt. He's coming.
Oh, you get to see my table.
Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hi.
Hey,
Now you're going to see my washed out head because that's the backyard. Okay.
Oh. The backyard sounds nice. Except
Hey, Mackenzie.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Hi, Holly.
Good. Yeah, hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
So you'll probably hear some of our crazy children in the background.
Oh, yeah. Hi, you guys.
There they are.
Are you helping clean, Grace?
I think the vacuum cleaner has become a toy, actually. So
Okay.
it's kind of one of those situations. Yeah, it's not so productive anymore. It's more of just, hey, what kind of sounds can we make out of this, and buttons to push and things to disconnect, all that kind of stuff.
Whatever's going to keep them entertained right now, though, right?
There's some of that. Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. What are some fun things that you guys have been doing to get creative, to spend some time together?
We've been watching a lot of Mr. Rogers,
Yeah.
which has been really good. I think it's been helpful to just, Mr. Rogers is just like that stability. I remember for me as a kid, that was more when he was a lot more live on television. But thankfully we have the resources of all those shows that we can dial up now, and it's pretty educational, kind of shows you how things work and talks about real life issues, which I think is really helpful for our kids to have right now when they don't have their classes and teachers and all of that. Yeah. I'm very thankful that Holly is a trained teacher, and she has some resources and knowledge about how to help the kids keep learning. I don't think we've realized that this is actually technically spring break, because we're just trying to keep fairly regular routine as much as we can, for that stability for the kids. And we're actually in the middle of a move, so that's been it's been keeping us busy, which I'm thankful for, because lots of projects and things, and that's why our house is somewhat unfurnished right now and somewhat chaotic because of that, packing things up and moving it over. And the other things we've been trying to do, sing lots of songs, dance parties.
Love that.
We have daily field trips down to the bus stop to pick up school lunches, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Usually during the school year, we pack lunches for the kids from home. So this is kind of fun for them to get the bag lunch from the school.
Oh, that's cool.
And see some of their friends from a distance. That's probably one of the hardest things with the kids right now is helping to explain the situation to them. And hey, we need to give some space. Like, you can't go up and hug your friends right now. And it's really hard for, 5, 7, and 8-year-olds to really understand what that means.
Yeah,
At
how do
least
you
give them a
communicate
funny face.
what's going on when you don't want to also instill fear in them? Hi, you guys. Because you have that face.
Sorry, Mackenzie, she was making a funny face.
That's
I had
okay.
to
I
do it.
loved it. Hi, Nathan.
You making a funny face too? Sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, I was just thinking, how do you communicate, with short, simple truths to the kids, especially at these ages that you have, without instilling a lot of fear? Because we've talked about, we don't have a spirit of fear, but there are times to be afraid and to be scared and things like that. And so, how do you walk that line? How do you balance that?
Right. I think as parents, part of our responsibility is to absorb some of that for our kids. So, I mean, we're not sharing all the statistics and the graphs and everything that we hear on the news, but the main thing that we just talk about is keeping everyone safe. And, of course, you talk about germs, and we talked about germs before all of this came up. But now it's like, okay, this is really serious. We can't blow our nose on things and, pass them around. And we have to make sure and wash our hands for 20 seconds or longer. And, practically speaking, I'm planning a grocery trip this afternoon. It's been a little over a week since we did that. And it'll just be me. And we usually do that as a family.
Oh.
So we're just kind of talking through some of those things like, hey, you guys are staying home because we're trying to keep our distances. We want to limit exposure for you, but also for other people in our community.
Yeah.
And make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do at this time. So just trying to keep it simple. I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's really sunk in, the full reality of what we're going through, just because we've really limited our news. We don't have cable TV or news channels that we dial in. We just do Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they don't get natural exposure to that. Of course, Holly and I are seeing it on our phones and all the notifications popping up, but I think we just have really been absorbing all of that and just letting them know the reality of okay, keep your distance. This is why we're not having friends over. This is why we're probably not going to go have Easter with Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do that by phone or some other way. That's probably the extent of what we.
Yeah. In a way, you guys get to shield and kind of filter the information through and give them just enough information so that they can be safe and live their lives the best way that they can. And at the same time, they don't have all the information that's just not necessary to them. So then they're not anxious about things and whatnot. And making the best.
I think in a sense, that's kind of what our leaders and government officials are probably doing for us. None of us really need to know all of the information, the details that the front lines know, but we need to know what we need to stay safe and to not keep spreading this virus. And that's a responsibility for us as parents, I think, and as leaders in other capacities as well, to absorb some of that anxiety. Of course, as Christians, we can take our anxieties to God, which is really helpful. So, we encourage our kids to do that, but I think if we can avoid them being freaked out, that's better too.
And just see you guys model that for them of you know what, I am a little worried about some things, and I'm bummed that we can't go to the grocery store with the family. Oh, are you still there? Can you hear me?
I just got a phone call, and so I rejected it, but
that's okay. Can you still see me?
Now I lost your audio.
Uh-oh.
I need to work on my reading lips. Where'd you go? Okay, keep talking, Mackenzie.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. All right, there we go.
There we go. Perfect. Well, I was just saying, I think it's really good to still model that for our kids too, though, that, as an adult, I'm still bummed. I'm still a little bit anxious and whatnot, but this is what I'm doing with that, and this is how I seek God in that. And they can learn a lot from that. Oh.
Right. Sorry, I'm having to put you up to my ear because the volume is really quiet. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh, weird. Oh, weird.
This is a big experiment here. Hey.
Yeah, it is a big experiment. But what's been a favorite moment of yours so far in this whole time?
I might have to reconnect with you, Mackenzie.
Oh, yeah, let's reconnect.
I'm going to hit the X and then try to get back on because I'm not sure.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
So if you just like miss that part, I love what Matt was saying of just like being a good model and filter for our kids, to give them truth, because I think that's important to have truth, but also filter through what's necessary for them to know. And Matt's coming back on right now. Here he comes.
Hey, Mackenzie, are you still there?
Yep, we're still
my camera
here.
went the wrong way again. There it is. Okay, there we go.
Hey, so maybe share like a high point, like a favorite moment of the last 2 weeks, a low point, and something you're looking forward to with. Oh.
I don't know, high point. It's been kind of fun having like slow breakfast together in the mornings as a family, sleeping in. I didn't realize just how much my kids actually could sleep in until this last week. It seemed like before we were just in the routine of like 6:30, and even on the weekends that's what they did. But now, they're actually pushing like 7:30. It's pretty good. So
we are learning things here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, even though it's not really that late, but still, I think just trying to appreciate the time that we have together. Even though I would totally want to be out like camping or traveling right now, but just trying to make the most of it with some walks around the neighborhood. One thing that it's just, I guess it's starting to affect me a little bit more. Just in the community, it's kind of the feeling of, even from a distance, it feels like people don't want to say hi to each other or greet each other anymore. Even driving down the road's not very populated right now, but there's still kind of that like, I don't know, if I wave, will I catch something? I don't know. It just kind of has that feeling.
Yeah.
And so I'm saddened by that, and the effects of what this might have on our culture in general. After all this, are we going to even want to shake hands or give hugs to people anymore?
Right.
And so I think that's one thing that, especially thinking about the kids, I just don't want that to be like a negative mark on their lifetime. Of just changing the trajectory of how they interact with people at that basic level. So that as a family, like, we get to hug each other in our household, that kind of thing. So I definitely don't want to take that for granted during this time that we get to have those close moments together. But at the same time, like, realizing that that's not the case for everyone. And some people are home alone and they don't have those opportunities. So kind of balancing that family time, but then, as someone connected in the church, I want to make sure that we're also reaching out to those who maybe don't have those same, close relationships in their household, and being creative with that. So that's kind of a burden that's been on my heart the last couple weeks, is how can we do that, and how can we just kind of push that out to our church family as well, that's a responsibility that we all have, is to reach out to those close to us, to make those connections in maybe some different ways. One thing that we're personally doing, there's a family in our church that is part of a more vulnerable community right now, and so we're just adding their shopping list to our shopping list.
That's awesome.
Today, and doing that small thing. So I don't know, Holly, do you have anything else that No, she's shaking her head.
She's shaking her head. Well, I heard this quote. I don't know who it was from, but it was, do for one person what you wish you could do for all of them. And so, because
That's
sometimes
good.
we think like, oh, like the problem's so big. I can't help all of the nurses. I can't help all of the people who are isolated. I can't help all of the people. But if you do just one, what you wish you could do for all of them, that still makes a difference. And so I think I love that example of you just like adding their shopping list to yours. I mean, that takes no, really not much extra effort, honestly. And especially in a time like this, like where you're home most of the time anyways, a little extra time at the grocery store is fine. You're not rushing to anything else. So I'm excited to see how people get creative in the community to still connect. Things like that. I have a neighbor here by the house who's actually a friend of mine, and she lives in an upstairs apartment, and I was just thinking of her and just thinking of maybe just like bringing like a meal over and then just popping up my camping chair in the parking lot of her apartment and just us being able to have dinner from upstairs and downstairs, or it's something like that.
That'd be
so
cool. Yeah.
We can just be connected because it's just her and her fiance that live there. And so I want her to be connected, and she works for the health department. And so that's a lot on her plate right now. And so
just be really careful too.
She does. She does. So wanting to do that, but get creative, you know, and I'm excited for people to see what people are doing and getting creative. I know Pastor Ben shared with me some things what he was doing in his
I saw him post today about going around to his neighborhood, like 60 some houses or something. And then the notes that he's been getting back of like, hey, we're happy to help you guys too. Thanks for stopping by. Even those notes, like we've probably all seen those pictures of the chalk writing on the sidewalk in front of people's houses, just encouraging notes, or the note on the mailbox, or, just the lineup of cars to pick up those sewing kits for masks yesterday. People are really wanting to help each other. And that's really the encouraging part of this, is to see the community come together.
That is the thing. And I just want to hold on to that hope and look forward to that and whatnot. So we've been meeting online for church. Our first one launched last Sunday, not without its hiccups and craziness, but it was really cool to see everybody on the chat room and whatnot. What did it look like for your family to tune into that at home?
Yeah, it was kind of, one cool byproduct of our hiccup, moving from a scheduled 10 o'clock to, hey, let's bump it back to 6 because the video's not quite ready yet. One cool thing was we just sat down for dinner, and we were able to, participate in the service. We had the TV on in the corner, and, of course I was on my laptop, being part of the chat and whatnot. But it was cool to interact in, it's not the same as in person.
Right.
But even hearing, Judy from McMinnville, like we were chatting, like 15 minutes before the service started. And, she kind of joked like, hey, this is kind of like, greeting time before service, everybody's hanging out. And it is, definitely not to the same extent, but it is. So we still get some opportunities to interact. I think that was really one of the coolest things about that, was connecting at the same time for the same purpose, worshiping God together, having opportunities to pray for each other, hearing God's word and responding to that at the same time. I think there's something powerful in that as a community. And so that was cool. I think maybe when all this is said and done, we may have to just like do that even with a in-person service.
Right. I love the little chat and all that, and it feels like, I don't know, it felt like we were still able to talk and connect after a week that had been really hard, and to see people on there and whatnot, and especially for us on the behind the scenes of like putting it all together, it feels really different, and it's kind of chaotic because we haven't really done much before, but to see the response from people, like that it was meaningful, like made it all worth it for me at least. And so was there something that you guys did as a family to respond to the Jonah chapter 1 section and talking about that?
Yeah, the kids actually drew some pictures, right, of Jonah. Do you guys have those handy? No, they're somewhere. They might be packed away. I don't know. They drew some pictures though last week about it. I was wondering if we could pull one up to show everybody, but I know that's something that we're going to be planning on doing this Sunday as well, and we might just continue it if that's a helpful way to help our kids stay engaged in the service and process with us what's going on. So yeah, trying to be creative with engaging as a family during the service, it's kind of cool. That's not at least the way our church functions. We usually have a kids church, program at the same time as bigger kids church, the main service. And so having everybody together was kind of cool. And I know everybody's situation is totally different. So some people might be home by themselves and some people might not have kids in their home anymore, and all of that. And so, having that opportunity to connect as a community is really, really powerful. And even if it's just dialing in later and watching it on YouTube recorded, one powerful thing I think about that live opportunity is there's just so many resources out there right now online. Yeah, I mean, great speakers, great worship music. I mean, I've been listening to like a Spotify playlist recently just to keep grounded, in worship music, because otherwise, like even NPR, OPB, which I usually love to listen to because it has a lot of local news and seems to be fairly kind of middle of the road, solid reporting and stuff. It's still almost exclusively about the virus and what's going on with that. And it's not usually positive things. And so just staying grounded in the faithfulness of God, and it's interesting singing some of those songs that we just become really familiar with. And now it's like, wow, that song seems like it was written for this moment. Even if it was written 10 years ago or 100 years ago.
Yeah,
it's
or
like,
even
man,
this book that we're going through. We planned it back in December, and how amazing it is that God meets us in the story of Jonah as it starts literally the same week that we have to go online and are scattered as
Right, scattered, and then, I mean, looking at that story through a different lens of quarantine and being home, like, man, Jonah was basically in quarantine in the belly of that fish. Yeah. And so how did he, respond in that moment? And basically all of chapter 2 is his prayer.
Yes.
Back to God, like, this is my situation, pretty grave. Really, I mean, as we've read it through this week, it's like super dramatic. That's kind of my takeaway. Like, man, you're kind of going a little overboard there, buddy. But but we feel those emotions, and I think that's really real right now. A lot of, I mean, you scroll through for 5 minutes on social media, and wow, it's really dramatic out there. But there is a lot of reality underscoring all of that. And I think that's what's really encouraging about the story of Jonah, and what we're working through as a community is that that's not just a fun story for a flannel graph, whoever remembers flannel graphs, but that is there's still a few of us out there. My grandma was the best at flannel graphs, so she was just the master. I wish I would have kept her flannel graphs, because
it's time to bring it back.
Complete rabbit trail. But it's not just a fun Bible story, but that speaks to our reality. And in this moment, I think it speaks to our reality just so well.
Yeah.
And how do we keep following and obeying God in these moments where we just want to run away, or we just want to, we're actually forced, in a sense, to run away right now and to kind of self-isolate and stay away from people. But in the middle of that, how can we still be obedient? What does God still want us to do?
Yeah.
when we can't do a lot of things.
Yeah.
What is he still wanting us to do? So
Yeah.
Grace wanted to show everyone something here. So
Oh, yes, Grace.
Is it okay if I let her jump in?
Yes, let's see it, Grace.
Gus.
Wow. Did you do
What is that, Grace?
Gus.
Gus from what? What movie? Or what story?
Cinderella.
From the Cinderella story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks so great, Grace.
That's her favorite character from Cinderella. Gus the Mouse.
Gus is great.
He's little.
Mhm.
But all the mice are.
All the mice are little. Yep.
They are little.
Thanks for sharing them, Grace. Yeah. How's your lunch, guys? What did you have today?
Cheese.
Cheese strips. Yeah.
Ooh.
They said on the bus they said it was chicken nuggets, but it turned out to be that, and I don't like them, and so I had a burrito instead.
Ooh.
Oh. Abby had a substitute lunch of a frozen burrito because she didn't like her cheese strips. They did actually say it was supposed to be chicken nuggets or a ham sandwich, and yeah, that's weird because I thought they had chicken nuggets, but they were actually cheese strips. So,
the cheesy breadstick.
Cheesy bread thingy-majiggers. Yeah. But they have chocolate milk, so it's all redeemed. I mean, it's all better with chocolate milk.
Well, thanks for chatting with us on live, Matt. I'm excited to see about, like you were saying, what we're going to learn this weekend from Jonah's prayer, as he's in probably the craziest form of quarantine, even crazier than ours right now, this weekend on Sunday. And we're going to be doing that at 6. We're going to keep it up at 6 at dinner time. So gather around the table. We're going to get together, and we're going to keep checking in on people on live as the weeks come, however long it takes, and just seeing how people are. So thanks for sharing, Matt and Smucker family. We love you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks for connecting.